nightmare begins again.
Welcome to the show, you hooligans. How you guys doing out there? We have a good show for you this morning. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying all the Harley tech stuff and the comparisons against Honda that we did yesterday. But today we're going to be talking about the media again has put out a story out there. It wasn't too good, man. It just shows a lot of ignorance and crap stirring. But we're going to really concentrate on what is going down in Virginia with this Second Amendment sanctuary stuff, and the Attorney General just came out with a warning for all Second Amendment sanctuaries, but a lot of people have been wanting me to cover this more, so we're going to cover it as best we can. But before we get into that, I want to show you some of the reactions from, actually, it's a law enforcement officer talking in front of a board about the Second Amendment sanctuary stuff. Say that 3 freaking times. But anyway, let's go to that video. Check it out right away.
Is because my fellow law enforcement officers, I've heard on more than one occasion, tell me that they would not enforce these bills regardless of whether they believe in them ideologically, because they believe that there are so many people angry in gun shops,
you think?
gun shows, at bars. We have heard it now. People talking about tar and feathering politicians in a less than joking manner. People talking about fighting with violence over their concern with Senate Bill 16 and Senate Bill 64.
They're not playing down in Virginia, man.
And I have never seen people willing to speak about something like that publicly. The Attorney General was asked recently whether or not Second Amendment sanctuary statutes or resolutions were legal. And his response in his statement that he just released was that the legal precedent we would set by allowing communities to selectively ignore those laws at will is alarming and indicative of the same mindset that nearly 150 years ago led this country to dissolve into a civil war. I have corrected his statement to reflect where we truly are sitting today. What his statement should have said is that the legal precedent we would set by allowing the legislature to selectively ignore enumerated rights at will is the same mindset that 150 years ago led this country into a civil war. I encourage all of you.
Boy, does he have that one right, man. It's getting real sticky down in Virginia. You don't want to, it's not like it's New York or LA or even Chicago. These people don't understand. This is Virginia, okay? The capital of the Civil War back there for the Confederacy was in Richmond. Don't be messing around with the Second Amendment down there, but let's take a look at the story, man, because the governor actually allocated $250,000 in case, you got it, gun owners go to jail. Okay, this out of NTD, Paula Liu, Virginia governor seeking increase in corrections budget in preparation of jailing gun owners. So it has gone crazy down there, and both sides look like they are digging in, but again, it ain't a smart idea, because right now in this country, it ain't the best political situation in the environment, because both sides, they're dug in now. But when you start, and a lot of my family's from West Virginia, and yeah, they wouldn't play with this stuff. And I think this is what's going to be the spark, man. It's going to be. But anyway, Virginia Governor Ralph Northam is hoping to increase the corrections budget in preparation for jailing gun owners, according to the Daily Caller. As part of his gun control measures, Northam introduced Bill HB 30, where a portion of the bill included $250,000 dedicated to corrections specials reserve funds, which provides funds for an increase in the operating costs of adult correction facilities resulting from the enactment. One thing that people don't understand about Virginia, it's only the northeast uppermost corner by Washington, it's, you got all those liberals that come over the border to Virginia because they don't want to, pay their taxes up in Washington, D.C. That's one thing about liberals. They're all liberal until it affects them. Then they don't like it. Anyway, the rest of Virginia, outside of that, you're looking at some hardcore stuff, man. As stated in Virginia's legislative information system, the bill would include $250,000 the first year from the general fund for the estimated net increase in the operation costs of adult correction facilities resulting from the enactment of sentencing legislation. Another thing it doesn't tell you in there is a lot of these counties, I know one that we covered last week, and we're going to be keeping on this story because this is important for bikers, because we know how the government loves going after bikers, don't we? But they started their own militia. A county actually started its own militia. So if you don't think it's getting serious, I don't know what to tell you. The bill indicates funding will be used to allow the removal of firearms from persons or pose risks to themselves or others. Prohibit the sale, possession, transport of assault firearms, trigger activators, and silencers. Increase the penalty for allowing a child to access unsecured firearms. Prohibit possession of firearms for persons subject to final orders of protection, and require background check for all firearm sales. It's funny how this AG said, well, you got to obey the law. You got to obey the law. Yeah, but you got sanctuary cities. I guess they don't have to. See, what's good for one better be good for the other, but in this case, it isn't. Then it goes into all this crime data crap with the FBI. There were 5 times more deaths committed with knives than there were with rifles. We already know all this stuff, but liberals don't listen. And see, if you haven't noticed, I don't like liberals much because they're just asinine. Their opinions really don't matter to me. Okay, they really don't, because you're idiots if you're a liberal. Anyway, but it's getting pretty messed up down. Okay, you might be wondering why I got a picture of Boris Yeltsin up on top of a tank in the upper right-hand corner if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening over on the radio, go over to YouTube, you'll see what I'm saying. This right here was the fall of the Soviet Union. Now, for those New Jacks that weren't alive back then, the fall of the Soviet Union was huge. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because there's a lot of people that will say, well, a second civil war can never happen in the United States. We're just too, technological. The military's so big. Yeah, you guys do not know your history. Now, this happened in the Soviet Union, one of the biggest freaking things that ever happened during, the last century. They were powerful. They had nuclear weapons. They had all kinds of countries behind them in Europe that were part of their thing. And they fell, I believe it was in 1991 or 1990, but I think it's 91. I got to check anyway. But the people got tired of the government. And they fought back, and it brought on the fall of something huge. So, here in the United States, what you don't, go learn your history a little bit. When the first one started, you had the military actually join in the war. You had a split between North and South. And Robert E. Lee was actually supposed to command the Union Army. He was the first one they went to. But he went with his state of, guess who? Virginia. He didn't go with the North. So it was right down the middle with the military. Now, with something like this, that a lot of the coup in Russia didn't have is Americans have a lot of guns. And a lot of Americans who have guns ain't going to give them guns up. That's another dynamic to this war. When they start forming militias, you get a split through the military. Yes, stuff starts getting serious. So it is still to this day possible. And how it's going to begin is with the political discourse. Right now, we got the political discourse. That is the first step in anything that's going to happen like this. Even just look at the American Revolution. It started out with a small group. They started passing out flyers, which today it would be the internet. Next thing you know, there's a lot of discourse, and then the first shot's fired. And I really think if the idiots down in Virginia don't get their crap together, this is what you're going to see happen down there. And then what's going to happen is you're going to have other states follow them. You're going to have states right next to them, like West Virginia go, because there's a lot of kin down there. I can tell you stories about my family. Oh, my God. You have ones that live in West Virginia, and then you got the ones that live in Virginia. They still do not talk to each other till this day because of what happened 150 years ago. It's crazy. But you can guarantee West Virginia is going to go. Then you're going to have freaking North Carolina, South Carolina. You're going to have all the southern states go. And then you're going to start having, it's just not going to be a north-south thing. You're going to have red states that are gun right hardcore go with this movement. And you got to ask yourself, isn't it time to put a stop to all this lunacy with these liberals? They're mostly socialists, man. They're not freaking Democrats that your parents or your grandparents knew. They're not them people anymore, man. They're far left socialists. There is an article that came out today. Bernie Sanders, I guess, is one of them at the top that might get nominated. That just shows you the state of this country right now. And with what's going on, I don't care what you think of the president, but the way that process played out should scare the hell out of you, because as bikers, it plays out against you every day. Look at what's going on in Texas right now. All this motorcycle profiling, all this biker profiling. It is really time to freaking wake up, man. It's not a good freaking situation. I think 2020 is going to be the spark where a lot of social discourse starts really happening. You start seeing stuff on the streets. If they pass this bill, SB 16 in Virginia, it's done. It's done. It's always funny when these people get elected. They want to take 10 miles from you, and they're all, there's a man, and there wasn't no mandate for this, man. This was your people out of Northeast Virginia that got this passed. It wasn't the rural counties, and that's why I always say, this ain't New York, this ain't Chicago, this ain't LA. There's a different freaking culture down south, and a lot of these other people in these other states that support this kind of stuff, you just can't put a blanket thing all over this country. When they say the popular vote, the reason why they want the popular vote instead of the electoral college? Because then places like Los Angeles, Chicago can king anybody they want. Here in Chicago, everybody votes red except in the city of Chicago. The whole state's red except Chicago, but they have the more people, so they carry it. That's the way they want to do it. So this situation, we're going to keep on covering, trying to keep you guys up to date. Let me know you guys' thoughts in the comment section. Get involved in this one, man. You need to stay up on this one. But next one we're going to be talking about is a story that the media put out about the Outlaws and the Aryan Brotherhood, supposedly. And this is a story I cannot even believe they put out. And this is the one I'm talking about here. MyNews13.com. It's like, why do you guys in the media even try to freaking say that you're partial when you put this kind of crap out? There's been stories put out about outlaw motorcycle clubs lately that is just mind-boggling, but it just shows you the ignorance of the people actually reading this crap. Daytona Beach man accused of threatening gang violence on ex-New Bayo. Daytona Beach, Florida. A 48-year-old Daytona Beach man is accused of threatening his ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend while suggesting connections with the Aryan Brotherhood and the Outlaws Motorcycle Club, an arrest report shows. So right there, what you got to do, this wouldn't be a story unless they quoted an arrest report from Leo, because without that, it's not a story. Without the Aryan Brotherhood, without the mention of the Outlaws, it's a non-starter. It goes on to say David Bradford was charged with making a written threat. A text message says he had people who would take care of her boyfriend, Bradford mentioned the Aryan Brotherhood, the Outlaws Motorcycle Club. So this idiot who is, what is he, 48 years old, he's still in high school, still name calling, still name dropping, and because of that, they put these names out there. And now it's a big blown story. David Bradford, an electrician, was released from the Volusia County Branch Jail in Daytona Beach after posting a $5,000 bond. His ex-girlfriend called authorities after Bradford began flooding her with text messages saying he wanted to get back to her. They broke up about 6 months ago, but still stayed in touch. After she told him she had a new boyfriend and they would never get back together, Bradford's text turned threatening, a report said. It's always funny. Why do you guys text threats? I don't get it. Aren't you guys smart enough who do this kind of crap know that your message is going to be seen? It's mind-blowing. He mentioned the Aryan Brotherhood, the nation's oldest major white supremacist prison gang, and the Outlaws Motorcycle Club, which has an active chapter in Daytona Beach. Again, it really don't talk about what happened. It just centers on what this is about, these two clubs. Well, one club and the one prison organization. Bradford said he knows several people in the club and 1,000 might be enough to pay an outlaw, the report said. Are you kidding me? $1,000? Yeah, right. That ain't gonna get you freaking a pack of chewing gum. Oh my God. See right there, it's BS. In an interview with police, Bradford admitted sending the text but denied possible violence. Of course he did. You got caught, you stupid idiot. You didn't even use WhatsApp. David stated he never met any threats by the text. Then why'd you send them, you idiot? And again stated he and his ex are always messing with each other. Yeah, nice way to get out of it. But then he admitted sending her a picture of himself with a handgun pointed to his head. 48 years old and you're doing that kind of stuff. And now you bring in two organizations, one of which you better hope you don't go into the joint and they're there. They ain't going to be too kindly with you throwing out their names and stuff like that. And you really don't know them. But this stuff is amazing the way the media freaking hits on something. There's no more integrity in journalism. I'm always saying that. Whatever these liberals are teaching these, these so-called news reporters, maybe need to go back in history and look what actually journalism's about. Because again, you bring up the Aryan Brotherhood, you bring out the Outlaws, and all of a sudden it's 1,000 to do something, which ain't true. Come on, man. All you're doing is helping law enforcement do their bidding. That's all you're doing, man. That ain't freaking giving both sides of the story. No, journalism is dead if you ask me. But anyway, let me know you guys' thoughts on what's going on in Virginia. Let me know your thoughts on what, we just looked at this story about the Aryan Brotherhood and the Outlaws. And don't forget to hit hooliganbiker.com. Got a bunch of great editorials out there. Your biker news at harleyliberty.com. Thanks for all the donation, guys. Oh, yeah. These hats I've been wearing the last 2 days, I got from a subscriber. Really appreciate it. You guys know I love hats, so, thanks for sending the hats. And if you want to send hats that you want worn on the air, just send them over to me and I'll wear them on air for you. But I really appreciate all the donations that you do to help this show out and all the listenership over on Motorcycle Madhouse Radio. You're awesome. Really appreciate it. With that, I'll talk to you guys on the next segment.
In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.